Africa, turning the page. We're balancing the scales of innovation and art. With every step and every leap, we're reaching the heart of the digital future, where Africa takes the lead. With Tech Hub Africa, the possibilities are free. There's Tech Hub Africa, we're flying high. With every line of code, we touch the sky. We're the acrobats of the digital age. Tech Hub Africa, turning the page. We're flipping a script on the tech scene. With innovation and skill, we're making it clean. Flipping and twisting, with code and with grace. Building a continent where tech takes its place. Tech Hub Africa, we're flying high. With every line of code, we touch the sky. We're the acrobats of the digital age. Tech Hub Africa, turning the page. We're balancing the scales of innovation and art. With every step and every leap, we're reaching the heart of the digital future, where Africa takes the lead. Tech Hub Africa, the possibilities are free. Tech Hub Africa, we're flying high. With every line of code, we touch the sky. We're the acrobats of the digital age. Tech Hub Africa, turning the page. Balancing the scales of innovation and art. With every step and every leap, we're reaching the heart of the digital future, where Africa takes the lead. With Tech Hub Africa, the possibilities are free. There's Tech Hub Africa, we're flying high. With every line of code, we touch the sky. We're the acrobats of the digital age. Tech Hub Africa, turning the page.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome everyone to Tech Hub Africa's Tech Talks. Today, we are excited to have the exceptional Mrs. Etta Mosore, who is the Acting Deputy Director General for Managerial Operations at Ghana National Communications Authority, NCA for short. Join us to discuss the vital topic of unlocking Africa's digital potential while navigating data privacy and cybersecurity in the digital economy. I am so excited to have Etta here, and I'd like to read just a little bit about who this amazing lady is. Like I mentioned, she's the Director General for Managerial Operations for NCA. She's a distinguished legal attorney with expertise in dispute resolution, fintech, intellectual property, communications, technology and innovation, and international business. As the Acting Deputy Director General for Managerial Operations at NCA, she leverages her passion for technology and innovation to drive impactful change. She's also results driven and an eloquent professional. Etta is committed to delivering high quality results and fostering growth through collaboration and knowledge sharing. Her extensive expertise and experience as a corporate and commercial lawyer has equipped her with a unique perspective on the intersection of law, technology, and business. Today, Etta will share her insights and expertise on the latest trends and innovation in tech, law, and beyond. Etta, it is my privilege to have you on today's show. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Doreen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And hello to everybody. And
Awesome.
I'm part of Tech Hub, so I'm very happy to have the opportunity as a member and also as an expert speaker today. So it's going to be a short one, but we hope to sort of delve into some few things and then we can take it from there.
Awesome. Let's dive right in. So, Africa's digital landscape is rapidly evolving, with over 500 million internet users recorded in 2024. However, this growth brings significant challenges in data privacy and cybersecurity. As the continent strives to unlock its digital potential, we know it's essential for us to navigate these complexities. And there's no better person to have on today's show to really help us. So, my first question to you is, as a lawyer who specializes in many things, including data protection and cybersecurity issues, what's one thing you do to protect your personal data online?
So that's more like a direct personal question. So, normally you don't have to keep passwords for a long time. So you have to change your passwords a bit often. And there's not every Wi-Fi that you connect to. So when you get to the airports, you don't just connect to every free Wi-Fi. And even if you do, you should be able to just probably send messages that will have arrived and blah blah blah, and then unless you have a VPN to navigate through. So these free Wi-Fi systems are something that I hardly do. So I'm live, so I can say certain things. But even here, I don't connect my phone to any public Wi-Fi. So those are one of the things. Those are periodic updates of your password. So sometimes in offices they can set up a system where every 3 months you change your password. So it means that in a year you should change your password 4 times. So for those of you who've had password for 10 years, I'm knocking at your door now. It's about time to change it. And those who use like birthdays, first name, second name, car numbers, phone numbers, all these things. Now, these people called social engineering, they are so good at it that they are able to actually work out some maths and then they get in. And so you must be careful about how you put in your password. So that's how I do it. And I must say it's difficult because sometimes you even do the password and you forget. So sometimes I try to save it on the laptop as well. But then when you save it, then it means you need to change it often.
Yeah.
Because now the cyber risk is so much that sometimes it even feels like it's coming from your office, but in actual sense, it's not coming from the office. So these are some of the few things that I do to protect my online stuff. And it's not every online things that you do.
Yeah.
It's not every place that you buy online. You must be selective. So even with your card, your credit card or your debit card, you have your three number at the back. Most times what you do is you should keep the numbers in mind and then sort of scratch it off, because every time that you use it to buy things at the shop, like at the supermarket, they see it. So once somebody captures the phone number and gets the three code at the back, that's it. They can always use it. So it's about time that you sort of do that. And in London or in the US, or some of them have this kind of system where the banks, you have one account that has the real money, and then you have one that sort of uses but the card often. So you transfer as and when you think you need, so that should the card go bad or go into a very wrong hands, they won't have access to all the money, kind of. So it's something like in cybersecurity, they call something like an off chain. So the all your documents, all your data will not be on the main card. It will be in a buffer kind of thing. So those are some of the things that we must look at. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, you have. And it's actually a good bonus for our viewers because not only are they getting information on how they can protect their personal data, but they're also going to learn more about how they can protect their product. If you're a startup, for instance, how can tech startups in Africa, for instance, prioritize cybersecurity in their product development process to protect user data and also build trust? Because to your point, not every Wi-Fi should be used. So how can somebody who is trying to build maybe a Wi-Fi infrastructure in Africa make sure that they have this user information in mind?
So with this Wi-Fi things, if you have an office, you need to definitely have a setup. You know what I mean? So it depends on the kind of startup that you want to do. You definitely have a setup. But you see, sometimes it's not just the Wi-Fi that you connect to. Assuming you want to build an app, you're a startup, you want to build an app, you're going to have like some cross-border transfers, because people can use the app everywhere. So you need to actually have what we call like the cybersecurity like infrastructure. So you need to actually make sure that you have like a cyber security or cyber immune tech system that can actually stand the test of time. So it depends on what you want to do. So if, for instance, those doing blockchain, now you realize that blockchain has been made in such a way that they are in blocks. So in the financial trade, they are all in blocks. So one of the reason why it's called blockchain and is also seen as like a sort of a cyber immune thing is because most of the cyber attack always look for a central point to attack, so that once they attack the central point, everything goes down. So the whole idea of blockchain is sort of put these financial or whatever you do in blocks, so that when there is even an attack on the first block, by the time the attacker moves to the second, it would have been stopped. It can go to the second and third and fourth. And then there are also some sort of access and footprints such that you won't be able to just rightly move. So these new technologies are actually thinking about cyber in mind. So some people actually even say blockchain is seen as a cyber tool, against cyber security or something. Although it's not been determined flatly like it is. Sometimes most of the issues or most of the characteristics of blockchain now looks like a way of being as a cyber tool as well to prevent cyber attack. So that's how the emerging technologies are looking at things. So if you're a startup, you need to look at that very well. You need to make sure that your system is cyber immune. If not, you need to have the cyber security checks in place. So not just open source. Open source are free.
Yeah.
Maybe you can start as a startup, you can use some open source, But you need to start moving towards license agreements where you can also hold the license person accountable should there be anything. And then one thing that is also coming up, which is not even yet in Ghana, I think they're going to have a conference in October during the Cybersecurity Week awareness, is cyber insurance. So it's something, it's in America, it's in the United Kingdom as well. So that's what they are looking at. But for the cyber insurance, they have different tiers. So if you want to insure your cyber stuff, then they would have to also make sure that you have a system which is good. So they have grades A, B, C, and D. So depending on where you fall, then they will give you a premium.
Yeah.
And if they do the assessment, they think that you are so low, they will let you sort of upgrade your system because they don't want a situation whereby you pay an insurance and the next day you have an attack and the whole money goes. So that's where we are also looking at. So in October, there's actually going to be a conference on that. And October is the cybersecurity awareness. So it's something that everybody should look out for. The Cybersecurity Authority will have so many things to look out.
I like that. And actually, it's a good segue. So, my second question, or my next question, is going to focus on data protection regulations. So, I like the mention of the insurance and having cybersecurity immunity. My question is, what are the implications of Africa's data protection regulations on tech businesses, and how can they ensure compliance?
Okay. So currently, Africa has about 36 different data protection laws.
Oh.
And there's the general one that we always say, the general, you call the GDPR. Is that the General Data Protection Rules? That sort of trickles from Europe down to Africa. But we have something also called the Malabo Convention. That's on data protection that all African countries sign on it. So you can see that data is evolving. A lot of things have come up where we've seen that data has become an issue. Because in everything that we are doing now, when we say tech, is data. So how do we protect the data as we are teching? That's why I say, as we are digitalizing everything, how are we protecting the data? That's very important. So if you look at Kenya, Nigeria, and other countries, they have all those laws. Ghana has the enabling laws. And in fact, we actually are reviewing the laws this year.
Okay.
To include so many things. So you have where you have to register with the Data Protection Commission. The moment you're a startup that you're going to deal with data, there are levels of different categories where you find yourself, and then you register for 2 years, and then you renew. So know that if you're a tech company and you're a startup, the moment you register, you need to, because even if you come to NCA for some sort of license or anything, the first thing we look at is your data protection certificate.
Okay.
So sometimes people don't know. So once they come here, then they are almost in a hurry, or they have some timelines, and then they are told, oh, you have to go back for your DPC certificate, and it becomes an issue. So once you're a tech person and you're going to deal with data, then you need to have your DPC certificate. And after that, it requires you to also have a data protection officer and an anti-money laundering officer as well, because once there's data, people use the data to also do some bit of money laundering. So you need an AML officer, which is anti-money laundering, and then you also need a data protection officer who will be trained by data protection and who will ensure compliance along the way. So if you are a startup and you don't have, say, all that stuff, remember that then somebody must be a director/data protection officer.
Definitely need to protect that.
Yeah,
And
because it's in the law, it's stated clearly, and you must go by that. Because you'll be surprised that if you don't do it, the moment you want to renew, there are so many requirements, so many reports that have to be sent before you renew.
yeah.
And that is where you realize that you have messed up. But it's not too cumbersome, and they're always ready to assist as well. So, yeah.
I mean, I like what you mentioned. You always have to stay on top of this, but that's where the skills gap comes in because, much as people are trying to follow the trend, tech is evolving, right? It's
Yep.
evolving. You have AI, tomorrow is going to be something else. So it's evolving. So thinking about our developers in Africa and even tech professionals, how can they ensure that they are upskilling to meet the ever-changing demand of cybersecurity and tech in general?
Yeah, I would say learning. I would say learning constantly, reading constantly, being abreast with news. When you go on LinkedIn, you can join several other teams that gives updates on so many things. I do the same. And so you don't have to stop learning. And there are some conferences that you may not be able to attend because you're a startup, but you can join online. These days, because of the virtual things, you're able to join as well. So you need to constantly be reading. You need to constantly learn. Sometimes, even if you don't know, you can just Google and say, what's the latest trend in tech? Now we know the latest is AI. And there's so many, but have you actually bothered to find out other things about AI? Well, I'll tell you one. So I actually found out whether AI you can, so when a computer actually develops something, can you actually patent it? Then I realized that there was actually a case. It's called Dabus or Dabus, Dabus. If you type that, you will see
Yeah.
that a man developed that AI, and it was supposed to do certain things, create, I think, some models of some containers or something. Then he said, okay, now the innovation belongs to the computer, like the AI. He named it, and so he wants to patent it. So he tried in UK, it didn't work. He went to America, he went to New Zealand. In fact, he went about 16 countries. And I think at that time, Australia was the only country that sort of veered and said, well, if you're able to show that it is the AI that did it and it can actually transfer to another human being, then a lot of countries came to realize that they didn't actually have an AI policy, because if you don't have an AI policy, then how do you deal with it?
Yeah.
Because the idea was in the Europe, they said the person must be a natural person who can transfer to another natural person. So their stance was AI is not a natural person.
Yeah.
But then Australia actually twisted it and said no, that because they had an AI policy and they knew where they were going. So sometimes you must find out what is Ghana's current AI policy, which is being developed. What is our technology policy? What's our 5G policy? What's our broadband policy? Sometimes you can even get a business idea in that, because of where you see the policy direction going. So currently, we are going to have a more like an agency called Emerging Technologies Agency or something. And the first council you are going to have is the AI Council, because you're going to have other emerging technologies coming. So you don't want to say an AI council and then, or AI agency, and then another one come. Because we have cloud computing, we have machine learning, and all that. So you need to start reading and see where we are going. Then you can tailor your startup or your current what do we call it, fintech company towards that line, because no matter what you do, you must find yourself within the enabling law, the enabling policy, so that you can't come up with an idea and like, no, Ghana law doesn't help. You're like, oh, I'm doomed. So you always must have that around you so that you build around that law. Although that is there, we also have this way as regulators that we do to also help people. It's something they call the regulatory sandbox. So if your technology is out of place, it's never been something that we have looked at to actually regulate or even license. What we do is that we create something called a regulatory sandbox. It's like we are big, so a small circle within a big circle. And what we do is we give you sort of a duration, we test the technology. In that case, we don't give you those kind of license, rigid license, you know, regulations that normal, tech companies will go through, for us to test and see, one, what do we want? We want to actually improve market entry for tech startups.
Yeah.
But then we also want to protect the consumer who will not be using the technology. And three, we also want to learn the technology to be able to license or advise and make policies. And so that exists. But then you can't say everything that you come up with, there must be a regulatory sandbox. So it means that you always have to read around and know where you channel your business through. And if it's some innovation out of the blue, then something like this can also be created. So this is what the government is sort of interested in and also doing to ensure that whenever there's a new tech somewhere, we don't throw it off, but then we test it in that controlled environment and then we roll it out.
I love that. And now I have like so many questions for you, and I'm sure our viewers might be thinking the same. So The first one would be intellectual property, because you mentioned about this person who had to go to different countries to make sure that he can patent. So how can, thinking about cybersecurity, how can startups or tech professionals even make sure that their intellectual property is also protected?
Okay, so the first thing I would say is, when it comes to computer stuff, you don't actually have an intellectual property to say the computer. Normally, it's a source code. And when it comes to copyrights, it is not the idea that you can actually copyright or you can have intellectual property. It's the expression of the idea. So most times I see people with so many ideas like, I want to have intellectual property. No. You need to express the idea into something new. Remember, when you go and apply, they actually do a search to find out if that doesn't exist, especially when you come to the tech space. So if you have an idea and you don't express it, you can't have an intellectual property to that. And so you must always express the idea into an innovation. So in the United Kingdom, they wanted to know that it's a genuine innovation.
Yeah.
But then when you go to Australia, they are not so hard on the fact that it's a genuine innovation, but then it's an innovation. So it's like they have a leeway to sort of view it and look at it. So you always must ask that. Else, whenever you start the application, you won't finish because you won't get anything from it. So you must always be sure that the source code for whatever app that you create is what you have to protect. If not, you can have different apps that looks almost the same, because we all have to swipe, we all have to press at some point, we all have to open it. That is not the intellectual property. We're talking about the source code that makes the app the app.
I love that. And I'm going to follow up on this because I like where you're going. So thinking about balancing innovation and security, right? We want to innovate. We are encouraging, I mean, that's what Tech Hub is for. We want Africans to innovate. So how can Africa's tech industry balance innovation and security to ensure that the digital solutions are both groundbreaking and also secure?
So the first that I said is still cybersecurity. So I think early this year we did something, future of digital countries in Egypt, and we had this speaker Kaspersky. We all know him, like he's been doing all those antivirus things and stuff like that. So where they are looking at going now is more of having what we call cyber immune technology. Because now the reason why we've named it cybersecurity is because we have the technology already, and now we need to secure it. But he's like, in the next future, we need to look at actually having an immune cybersecurity. It might not be 100%, but once the technology is actually launched, you know that it's immune from so many attacks. So you are now not doing cyber. So we will move from a reactive form of security, cybersecurity, to a proactive one. So prevention is better than cure. So it will be a preventive technology. So that's what we are looking at. But those who already have the tech established, then obviously you must make sure that you have your cyber security laws, you have the risk assessment, third-party risk assessments, and all those things in place. And I think it's high time they should start looking at the cyber insurance too, because it's unending. The social engineering from people, you can't even sit today and say you know what everybody is engineering right now. And now people have made it their jobs, 24/7 job, engineering on all sides, just to hit an account. Ghana, or maybe Africa, loses over $4 billion in 2021 to cyber crimes. We lose a lot. That's a huge sum. And they are on the go. And that's what we call social engineering, because the ransomware and the malware, those ones you can see. But where the social engineer, that they track you so much, they know how the organization. And right now, the question is always when you come to cybersecurity, they're already in your systems. They're already there. The question is when. That's when they strike. And you and I cannot tell the when. So the most important thing is to put in systems so that when the when arrives, you're ready. But then moving forward towards some decades ahead, we are not going to be sitting waiting for when, but we're going to have cyber immune tech where there's no when because it is already immune. That kind of thing. Yeah.
I like that. We have some questions come through, but I want to ask this follow-up and then we'll take some questions from our viewers. I'm all about inclusivity. So thinking about cybersecurity and the digital age, how can cybersecurity measures be designed to promote digital inclusion, particularly for marginalized groups like, women and those in rural communities?
All right. This is a very serious issue. And this year, the ITU, in celebrating the World Telecom and Information Society Day, it was actually digital transformation with women as the topic because they did a research and they realized that the digital gap between women was so wide. I mean, over billions in terms of all over the world. And so there have been some programs that is geared towards women. So there was an interesting conversation where somebody said, even when we talk about tech, we say tech wizards. Nobody say tech witches. So it's like the whole idea that came up has naturally even bridged the gap for men and women. Because the tech wizard, why not a tech witch? So now I say I'm a tech witch, so I'm not a tech wizard. So that is where we started from. We started from that. But if you realize, for instance, in Ghana, the minister has actually launched this 1 million coders program. And most of the focus is also to train women in that. Right now, what we can do is to build more capacity for the youth coming up.
Okay.
And then those who are actually there, we also sort of expose them and give them the opportunities. And the Minister for Communication has one thing that he always says. He says, if there's a tech position and there's a man and there's a woman, he will consider the woman.
I like
So
that.
these are intentional things, especially with the Affirmative Action Act, which is already now an act, not a bill. You need to be intentional about it. So last month, he trained about 1,000 girls in ICT in the K2, the Volta region. And then the 1 million code is also focusing on that as well. And we also have girls in ICT program that I think next week or so they are coming here. We take them around almost all the communication agencies every day where we speak with them. So there's a girls in ICT program specifically made for that. What are we trying to do? The idea is to bridge the gap and let us have tech witches in the system, not only tech wizards.
I love that. We need tech riches in Africa. So let's go, Africa. Questions came through from our participants. So I'm going to read one of them. It says, how can African countries effectively enforce data protection laws to safeguard citizens' personal data in the digital economy?
Okay, so data protection laws are very, very crucial now. Why do I say so? We want to do a lot of cross-border transfers. So definitely, as you're doing cross-border, it means that there's going to be cross transfer of data as well. If you look at the European Union, for instance, before you can actually move data from there, they use the word it must be adequate. Now, I'll tell you what, when they say it's adequate, it means that there are so many things that come under for them to say this data is adequate. So today, for instance, we're actually thinking and reading and discussing at a program, and we realized that most of the laws in Africa, we have the francophone and then the anglophone country. So sometimes there's a bit of a language barrier and law barrier. So one main thing to be able to deal with this is partnership. Because every country is sovereign. How best are we going to innovate and make sure that data is protected? It's partnership. And so if you realize Africa is in the sub-region are trying to partner, and that's how come the Malibu Convention came about that has been signed, where there are general data protection rules that all African countries must have, such that when you pick the laws in Ghana, the same principles around which we build our laws is the same principles around which Nigeria builds its laws. So that when there's an issue here and you're transferring like a breach, you're supposed to report a breach in 24 hours or 48 hours. It's the same in Nigeria. So once there's a transfer of data and there's a breach, the law applies around the same principles. It might be drafted differently, but the same principles of data protection that goes. So that's what we are working towards. And as I said, Ghana is reviewing its data protection law. We are changing it from a data protection commission to an authority.
Okay.
To be able to better handle and get more stuff on board as well. And that's one of the agenda of the Minister for Communication and also the John Mahama administration. So I'm hoping that by end of the year, some of these things will be put in. And once you have an enabling environment with enabling policies, then you're able to enforce and you're able to see results.
I like that. And I like the idea of, data partnering with either other countries or even the startups because
Yeah,
they have so much to offer. So if we can do transfer of knowledge and make sure that we have a standardized system, especially in the ECOWAS countries, this
yeah,
shouldn't be, a no-brainer. So
exactly.
thank you for that. And hopefully the person who asked the question feel like their question has been answered.
In
The
fact, somebody actually said, what has ECOWAS been discussing for so long? What have they been talking about for so long? Meaning that they want to see results.
I know,
I mean,
right?
yeah, I mean, this is off the line, but you, even in terms of roaming, in terms of data roaming and voice, we are signing MOUs with various countries. Some of
Mhm.
them are live, so that when you enter into Ivory Coast, for instance, you will be able to make a call and be charged like you are in Ghana.
Exactly. I
Not so
like
we,
that.
yeah, so we are live with Ivory Coast. We are live about 3 countries, and we are actually having discussions more within the ECOWAS sub-region. So we are hoping that towards the end of the year, most of these things will be done, and then it makes things easier for
Yeah,
movement
yeah.
and also makes the laws applicable to both sides
I
and wherever
love
you
it.
find yourself in Africa.
I love it. I have one other question that came in and it says, what resources and supports are available to help startups in Ghana or in Africa, but emphasis on in Ghana, prioritize cybersecurity and data protection in their products and services? So what are the tools or
Okay.
support or resources?
So for now, the government focus is actually building capacity,
Okay.
because we believe that if you don't have the capacity and we give you like support, what are you going to use it for? And as you see around the world, around Africa, you realize that the digital space or the ecosystem is widening. And so there's a need to build so much capacity such that you don't now need somebody, oh, come and let me give you a technology that would have a security. No, but they will have the know-how. And so when they are building, they know how to do it. So when you look at the 1 million coders program, for instance, there's cybersecurity in there, there's coding and all other ones, for instance. When you go to NITA also has a way for you to register and also get some support. But most of it, if you go under the National Youth, now there's a whole ministry for youth,
Yeah.
because there is an interest and love for the youth. There is a need to focus on the youth because the future is the youth. And so, as I said, it's a new regime, it's a new ministry. What have you read about it? What do you think they are doing? What are your plans? You need to go get these things on board. Have you been to NEP? Have you been to National Youth Authority? You need to do that, because you can't have Etta sit here and tell you everything.
Yeah.
And if, when you hear, it doesn't even give you more of like a zeal to go. But when you read or when you go there to find out, then that's somebody who is serious and who wants to actually know what's existing in my country and how can I benefit. There are so many opportunities out there.
I like that. I know, especially in this age, it's a digital age, right?
Yep.
So do your research, do it online or go to Ministry of Youth or just go and find out. NCA is there, find out, and definitely you get some of this. So, and if you can't find it, reach out to Tech Hub. We are always available
Yeah, that's why we
to
are here.
find, yes, always available to find you the answer. Um, for the participants online, if there are any questions, we only have room for one more question. If there's none, I have another question that I would like to do. So we'll take a quick break and then to recognize our sponsors, and then we'll take one last question from our viewers. So definitely want to say a big thank you to our sponsors for today. I know the team is trying to project, but if they can project that, we want to just say a big thank you to them for all their help. And also we have some upcoming events as well. So just waiting for the team here. So our sponsors, we have GH Accommodation, we have Mavis Inspires, Ophie Agro, and of course Tech for All. So thank you for sponsoring today's event. We also have upcoming events. Our next Tech Talk will be with a serial entrepreneur who is going to share amazing insights on how to really start up a business and how to keep it and stop the burnout. We also have the Innovation and Leadership Seminar happening in Ghana on December 19th, and our flagship project or program, which is the Tech Guru Meetup. So thank you for that. And we will go back to see if our viewers have any last question. Otherwise, I'll read this, and then Etta, I have a rapid fire question for you, all questions for you. So let me see. I have a question here from our viewers. Definitely, it's complex. And somebody says, thank you for breaking down such complex topics so effectively, Etta. And I agree with this person as well. All right. So the last question that I think you kind of answered this in some way, but the person wants to know how African Okay. The person wants to know what are the most significant cybersecurity threats that's facing African businesses today.
So as I said earlier on, there are different types of cyber threats. So we have the malware, we have the ransomware, we have the social engineering, and all others. I mean, recently, like, I think we all heard about MTN's cyber thing that happened.
Yeah.
I think it was in the news. So yeah, for instance, that was not directly like here, but then when something happens, it affects everybody. So when we say ransomware is very simple. They try to get into your system and ask for a ransom. That's why it's a ransomware, basically. And the malware, definitely the same thing. Social engineering, we call something what we call phishing expedition. So what they do is that they are always in your system. They know the kind of emails you send. Sometimes you're there, you see an email from nowhere, but they have your name and they address you by your name. So the main things that are happening right now is those malware and those phishing expeditions going on. And now with the increase in social media, they are able to sort of trail you and know how you operate till the end. And so when you get an email or a text, it's almost like true.
Yeah.
Sometimes, unless the Holy Spirit pinches you, you might be so like it's so real. And
Yeah.
so that's how come we must always be conscious and aware. If we are not sure, don't click on certain links. There are ones that I cannot mention the name, but then it was money in the system where it was transferred. And once it was transferred, in a minute, the money was taken.
Yeah. Just like that. Yeah.
It was
I
about
like that.
$50,000.
Yeah.
And sometimes in that minute, if you trace, you will see that under 7 seconds, the money moved from for over 4 countries.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a huge problem. And to Cortez respond, thank you for breaking down such a complex topic for our viewers. I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions because we've gone through the tough stuff, right? The difficult stuff. So now I want to bring it home. You are very well respected in the legal space in Ghana, and I bet my dollar to say almost every lawyer in Ghana, you have touched them or taught them in some way, shape, or form. So the question I have is, don't overthink it, very quickly. What was your dream job as a child, and did you end up pursuing it in your adult life? Did you always want to be a lawyer?
I wanted to be a teacher.
Interesting. Hey.
Yeah, I always wanted to be a teacher. So I remember when I got to secondary school and they took me to the science class because they look at your results and take you to the science class. And the first day when they came, they said, science is very difficult. You have to do that. And I just knew I wasn't supposed to be in the science class. So I told my mom, I don't want to be in the science class. I said, what do you want? I said, I want to be a teacher. Is that eh? Then I said, I want to be a teacher. So I want to do history, literature, and maybe French because I was good in French. Then she said, no, you're not going to do history because I am going for my.
Yeah.
So I needed to balance my mom's sort of, you know how parents are pushing and not. So I said, okay, I'm going to do economics, geography, and French.
Yeah.
So that one, she was like, that sounds good. And so one time I told her, do you know I always wanted to be a teacher? Well, at the end of the day, when I started reading law, I was teaching everybody in my class.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said I could teach from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. And so a lot of people didn't want to study, they want to come and listen. So I also took it as an opportunity as revision for myself.
Yeah.
And then after school, I started teaching law. And I've been teaching since. So some way, somehow, destiny crossed again, and I'm a teacher. So,
Now I
and I think my
and now
mother
I
said
see
she
why you're
likes it this way.
teaching.
She
Yeah, I
likes it
see
this way.
why
So
you're
yes,
teaching
now you're a teacher, but
everybody.
you're a lawyer. So yeah, but I always wanted to be a teacher.
I love that. Somebody says they have a question. So before I bring that person in real quick, I want to go on and ask very briefly, motherhood and career, what's been the most rewarding? I know you have a wonderful son, but what's been the most rewarding thing to you as a mother and a career woman? And how do you balance both?
I would say it's tough. The only thing that helps me going is my discipline and my set mind.
Mhm.
So that's the only thing that keeps me going. So I wake up sometimes in the whole week. I plan his breakfast, whatever he's going to eat. It doesn't mean he's going to follow through, but then you do that, and I plan his snack time as well. In fact, as I sit here, his uniform for September is already ironed and in the wardrobe.
Oh my
Everything that
goodness.
he has to, yeah. Why do I do that? My PA is laughing over here because she saw that. So it's all more the things that help me is planning. It's
Yeah,
tough, but the only thing that helps me is the early planning
yeah,
because you never know how things can just easily change.
that's
For
true.
instance, I prepared this 2 weeks ago. This whole week, I couldn't prepare again
Yeah,
till like 30 minutes ago. And so I have come to believe that planning early, because when you plan on paper, it looks doable.
yeah,
Because assuming you have 10 chapters to read for a month, when you start planning, you know that in 3 weeks, you should be able to finish. If you don't finish, give yourself a buffer.
yeah,
And I wasn't just a mom, I wasn't just working, I was also schooling as well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
sometimes every evening you finish, it's difficult. And I'll go and sleep at 1 a.m. and then the baby will wake up at 1:30. I just slept. Hello.
yeah,
But then you cannot sleep. You wake up, you do it, and in the morning you just move. There are times that you feel so down.
yeah,
Feel it. It's normal. Bring it up, but please get up and go again.
yeah. Movement is
But
medicine. I love
yes,
it.
I always say this. You can plan and say, I'll wake up at 5. Nobody will wake you up. You can sleep.
Yeah,
But the discipline is you waking up at that 5 because you know when you wake up at 5, you'll be able to achieve. So every time you plan, remember that you are in charge of your own plans. But the only way that can make you achieve is the discipline that I wrote in my plan that if I start at 4 a.m., I'll be able to. So you wake up. I do my laundry every Friday
yeah,
night.
yeah,
By morning, I'm hanging. By 8 o'clock, everything is hanged. I've done this over 4 years. It's not because I'm not tired, but it's because I know that when I do that, I'll be able to sleep a little. And when I
yes.
wake up, I know that things are washed, you know, that kind of thing, and the discipline to do it. So put your plan in place, but please be disciplined. Sometimes you fall off the track, but just get up and get back on it.
I love it. My last question is, what's one piece of advice you will give to young professionals or startups, especially women who are starting their careers?
Well, I would say now there are different levels of women who start careers. Some already have children, and some do not. Don't leave don't leave things out. Balance it. Don't leave the kids out, don't leave the husband out, and do work. And don't do work or don't do home and leave work. What does it tell you? It means that every time you must be balancing some way, somehow. Time will always be 24 hours. The week will always be 7 days. When you were single, it was 24. When you got married, it was 24. When you had one baby, still 24 hours. When you had three babies, still 24. So what does it tell you? Time management. Because time will always be 24 hours. It won't change for you. It won't change for anybody because you have three children, so you can have 48 hours in a day. So please, it means that you always have to plan and manage and be disciplined.
I love that. This question came from a participant. I think it's very important. So the question is, apart from corporate organizations, are there any initiatives from NCA and NITA to support nonprofit organizations working in the digital space?
So we for NCA, normally when we are ready to sort of give that kind of tech support, like in kind, advice, step all the way, but not financial support.
Okay.
Yes, but always ready to give you everything that you need to know that falls within our mandate. Anita said.
Okay.
So that's what we stand for, yeah.
Okay.
But we
Hopefully,
don't have
you feel your question has been answered. So thank you for that question. Well, and thank you, Etta, for sharing your valuable insights with us this afternoon. As we conclude today's session, let's remember that cybersecurity is a collective responsibility, and enforcing comprehensive data protection laws aligned with international standards. And I love how Ghana is taking a big step here to make sure that at least within the ECOWAS space, things are happening. It's really crucial, right? Once we do this, crucial for Africa's digital economy. And of course, all of us have to know our digital rights, data protection, and online safety. Whether we are individuals or businesses, it's essential for us to promote a culture of cybersecurity, which can help all of us stay ahead of emerging trends and unlock our digital future. So, Etta, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so much,
time.
Doreen, for
Yeah,
having me. You are doing amazing with Tech Hub, and I love the fact that you have so much interest in the youth, and I know this will pay off. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. And of course, to our amazing viewers and Tech Hub community, thank you for tuning in today. We hope Etta's insights have been an enlightening one for you as much as it has for us. Don't miss out on the next Tech Talks. Join us and, of course, continue to spread these inspiring conversations and expert insights. So from all of us here at Tech Hub, we say thank you for tuning in. Until the next Tech Talks, continue to empower, innovate, disrupt, sustain, and transform Africa and the world, one innovation at a time. Thank you, and have a good day. Thank you. Until the next Tech Talks, continue to empower, innovate, disrupt, sustain, and transform Africa and the world, one innovation at a time.
We're flipping the script on the tech scene. With innovation and skill, we're making it clean. Flipping and twisting, with code and with grace. Building a continent where tech takes its place. Tech Hub Africa, we're flying high. With every line of code, we touch the sky.